What's going on, everybody? Dogman Dan here. We are in Warframe. I got a little enjoyment for you in the background here. I'm over on Mott in the Void on an Axie Relic run. Mott being the highest level of the Void right now that you can go on to. It's 40 to 45 or 40 to 50, something like that, based off of this Axie mission. So I thought I'd let you enjoy that with Oberon and my Rakta, Cernos, and Dagger as well. Yes, still playing around with everything. And yes, they can go into decent level content, and you can actually survive if you know how to play. I'm just saying, Anyway, for the topic of conversation, if you will, in this video, I want to talk about my thoughts on Fissures and on Relics, and some ideas I have in my head about how we could potentially make them better than what they are, fundamentally make them more fun, if you will. Maybe bring back a little excitement from the changeover of, Void runs to these. And please do feel free to share your thoughts below. I'm going to continue doing more of this type of work and relaying it back to the dev team, as I always do when I create these. Because this is kind of where I like to stand. Now, I have plenty of content to go. I've got plenty of builds if I wanted to put them out there. Setups, if you will. Setups, not builds, because I would never tell you guys how to build your own stuff. And there's, a million channels out there already that tell you how you have to build things. And quite frankly, to me, that's boring. So that's why you don't see them much on my channel. And when I post them, it's because I've been completed with something and I'm happy with it, and that's how I run it. It's based off of my playstyle only. Okay. But on to Fissures and Relics, and now that everybody has it, even consoles, there's a huge difference, from your Void runs that we used to do, our endless runs, to now. First thing I'd like to point out is with Relics. Relics being such a pain in the ass. There's so many places you can go to drop the same relic if you're trying to farm for them. It's annoying. There's just too many different places that you could go to potentially get a relic, if you will. And then the new relic every time new things come out. And that's just annoying. I don't see why they can't add on to the relics that are there. Or, in my idea, I'd like to be able to take my pool of relics and trade them into something to where I could get the new relics, if you will, right? So if I've got a whole bunch of Axie relics and I don't need all of these ones anymore, yeah, I've farmed everything that's in them. Now I just be farming for extra ducats, if you will, ducats, whatever. And so I'd keep some, of course. Great for trading, great for just runs to ramp up that stuff for Barrow. But I'd like to be able to have the opportunity to say, okay, I've got, these 50 or 60. I don't want them anymore. And that's like half of the pile of what I have. Because I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these things. And I have no need to actually run them because I have all the gear on them. You know what I'm saying? But I'd like to get the new gear. And, granted the grind is still there for actually winning the gear through RNG. But I'd like to be able to have that opportunity to go somewhere and say, okay, here's the ones I want to trade in that are Axie, and I want to get the new Axie stuff. And maybe it could still be partially random in that section where, we have like 4 or 5 new Axie relics that are out. So I'm trading in and I'm guaranteed to get the new relic, but I'm not guaranteed to get them specifically what I want, okay, if you will. The same thing as the other ones that are out there, the Lilith and the Mesa and the Neo or whatever they are. All the different ones. You could trade them in and get the same set back from new ones that come out, but no actual guarantee that you're going to get the specific ones. And I'm okay with that part, because at least I'd have the new ones. I could play them till I got what I wanted. I could potentially trade the new ones with somebody else that got the ones that I want, that they need, that type of thing. And I'd be okay with that because right now I've got a billion of these things sitting around with really no use at all. And they're just going to keep accumulating as new stuff comes out. And it's going to be the same way with terms of farming. You're just going to keep farming and getting things you don't need. So, I don't know. That's kind of a theory I have on that. I'd like to see that. Now, in terms of playing the game, I have no problem running these fissures. I think the fissures are definitely fun. They're definitely challenging. And if you're doing them solo, they're even more challenging. But what I'd like to be able to see is the incentive to run them endless. Beyond that first marker, that first point when you get your prime part, or you get the guaranteed prime part, you know, from the Axie mission after collecting your reactant, there's really no need to go any further beyond that point when Lotus tells you you can exit. And I think that sucks. I would like to say that the longer you're in the mission, the more you could get from the specific relic that you're in. Even to the point where if you stayed in there long enough, maybe you could get that one that you really, really want. And I'm happy to say that, you know, every so many minutes you'd be able to get another part from that relic. Doesn't mean that they won't duplicate, because you could keep duplicating the parts till you eventually get to, you know, let's say the Necros helmet that you wanted, right? The Necros Prime helmet. You're running that Axie, and you're running it, and it could be an hour before you get that one part. But in between, you keep getting all the different prime parts and multiple versions of them or whatever. I would just like to be able to see something like that. You know, I mean, that's the whole point, right? That was the whole point of the Void, is that you could sit in the Void, run it endlessly to get a whole bunch of parts. Sure, now you're limiting yourself to the parts that you could get based off of the relic, if you will, in an endless. But you still have the opportunity to keep getting more parts. And I think that's a big thing. Sure, I could continue running missions, excuse me, endless missions, and potentially drop more relics and this, that, and everything else. But, and not even every 5 minutes, right? You know, let's say every 15 minutes, it would give you the guaranteed option to choose another reward as well. Or stack it, right? The longer you stay in there, the better your chance is to get that higher, rarer item from the relic. That would be fine too. I'm happy with that. I mean, RNG's not getting screwed here. You're still running the mission. You're being forced to run it even longer to guarantee a better chance at that higher. But I guess that would take away the whole radiance and the different leveling of the fissures before you go, or the relics before you go in there. But I don't know. Every time I take my relic and I upgrade it to a radiant, I end up with Forma. So when I don't do it, I get better chances than when I actually do it, if that makes any sense to you. It's kind of weird to me, but that's how it seems to work. But I just like to be able to see something like that. You know, I mean, that's just the thought. It would allow me to stay in there longer. And I have no problem when these Void one comes up. I immediately hop on. Anytime I see a Void Fissure run, or Relic run, whatever that is, Fissure, you know, I hop on them immediately. Because it gives me a chance to stay and play in the Void that we love so much that is almost useless at this point. Other than farming some Argon Crystal. And sure, the new Fusion System Part 2 here, if you will, is going to have something going on in the Void. And I guess that's cool. It gives you some treasure hunting and a chance to kind of run around in there. But ultimately, that is not going to keep you inside the Void unless those rewards are uber special. And I mean uber special, you know. I don't care what they are. I don't care if they're cosmetic, but they better be damn well uber special, and that's the only way you can get them, type of thing. But I'd like to be able to see something brought back to have an incentive to play endless, other than just to play endless for no real reward out of it. You know, beyond the one thing that you're there for. And right now, the longer you stay, the more chance you have in actually dropping out of the mission or host disconnection, if you will, and losing everything that you got. So those are just my thoughts. Please do feel free to share your thoughts below. I appreciate you guys listening. Stay tuned for more topics from me, some more discussions, and I will talk to you soon.